We are moving towards a new earth, and it's up to you whether you want to live on a world that's basically victimized by 3D cause and effect, and basically you're caught up in whatever's happening around you. You're a subject to your environment, you're a victim to your circumstances, or you can download possibilities through your imagination and choose what you want to prefer, and like a magnet, it will be brought to you. And that's the 5D reality. That's the new earth. It's here now. We are here now. If you're watching this, you're likely tuning in to a 5D reality more and more often. So I congratulate you, because we are all part of this high vibe tribe. We are all moving forward, and we're all creating a world that we want to experience, that we like to experience, that we prefer, that we know we're deserving of. Hotep brothers and sisters, Joel here with another message of divine light just for you. Today, I'm going to be addressing the difference between 3D, 4D, and 5D perspectives, and how you can make the shift from one to the other. The truth is, we're always kind of bouncing back between these perspectives in moment to moment in our days. The thing is that how can we consciously influence our perspectives and choose a perspective that we prefer, wherewith we are able to influence the outcomes of situations in our benefit to that which we prefer, and not experience outcomes that are in our detriment or go against that which we are trying to manifest or trying to experience, trying to achieve. So we'll start off with 3D. Obviously, 3D refers to the space geometry that we find ourselves in, measured by height, width, and length. So that's basically just the measurement of objects in space. When we are in a 3D perspective, we are embedded in a Newtonian physical world, a world of cause and effect, and we are basically being tossed by the waves of our environment, and we are subject to, and sometimes we end up being victims to that which is around us, and that which is going on around us just sort of catches us up in its wake, and we are just pulled along with it. We have to go with the flow, and we have to kind of make do best with what we have, and we have to kind of make do with what we have to the best we can. And that's been the way of the world for the last few generations, basically the last age, the age of Pisces, right? Now, when we get into a 4D perspective, we start to realize that we have more control over the effect of how we can change and perceive the world. 4D basically refers to coming out of the physical time space and seeing it from a broader perspective, basically the next dimension, and seeing that 3D is laid out in front of us almost like on a sheet of paper, and we're able to navigate it. But we're not able to basically jump from space to space like in a space warp, but we are able to see that time, which is another dimension, is more malleable, because in the 3D perspective, we're basically, it's kind of like a train. You're on the train and you can't help but move in the direction of the train track. You can't help but move down that track. It's basically pulling you along at a constant speed, and you can't perceive the end from the beginning, and you can't look at the past differently. Now, 4D perspective gets very interesting, because we are able to influence our very timeline that we find ourselves on. This has to do with our meditations, our visualizations. Basically, when we shut off ourselves from the 3D perspective and we project our mind into a future event, bring that future event real in our imagination, and that future event basically is pulled into our now moment. We do this all the time, actually, with past memories. A lot of times people ruminate on past experiences, whether good or bad. Usually it tends to be the bad ones that people feed and give airtime to. And that's unfortunate, because what we can actually do is utilize good memories and use that to propel ourselves forward. We can actually project past memories that we prefer, and we can perceive them as future events, and we can rewrite them in our imagination and project them into a future space, bringing them real in our imagination in the now moment. I hope that's not too confusing, but it might become more clear as I explain 5D perspective. 5D perspective is when you're aware that we live in a world of quantum probabilities. Literally any possibility, any outcome exists now in the quantum source field. This is how imagination works. This is how manifestation works. What we're actually doing is plugging in to a potential timeline, a parallel reality wherewith our imagination is the conduit of downloading the information. We can perceive future events, future possibilities, even present possibilities. We can rewrite past possibilities, because every moment is a new moment, and it ties in differently with past events and future events. You get to decide your definition of the events that you perceive, and you get to rewrite the definitions of past events. When we are in a 5D perspective, we realize that time is malleable and that actually space is malleable. We are able to change events and circumstances around us based on the information that we're uploading to the quantum source field through our beliefs, our experience, our assumptions, and basically what is alive within us in our subconscious. And the best way to activate this is through our imagination. The most vivid catalyst for our imagination is visualizing. Why? Because in 3D space, we are constantly being bombarded by what is our physical reality. It is all around us. The only way to shut off from this is to close our eyes and start to visualize with our mind's eye. Visualizing is the most powerful tool to plug into parallel realities, parallel possibilities. And of course, any mode of imagination will do this. So sight, hearing, taste, smell, memory, thoughts, feelings, these are all methods wherewith to plug into the quantum source field and download 5D potentials. In the 5D world, time becomes more flexible. And you might even notice when you start to meditate and you start to visualize, you might be making time jumps. You might leave late for work, say, but then you end up getting there early, and it's inexplicable how, but you can just credit it to the inner awareness within you, and you have started to exercise this, so you are seeing the outcomes of how it's unfolding. In the 5D world, it is very possible to jump timelines, and even though there are parallel timelines and you might see other people experiencing a timeline you don't prefer, through your imagination, through your intention, you're able to link up to a parallel reality that you do prefer, and basically form yourself as a magnet that will pull yourself towards that desired outcome. This is the power of 5D. This is the power that we actually have in our subconscious awareness. But it's not through our conscious awareness, because our conscious awareness is constantly being bombarded with the 3D space-time reality that we find ourselves in. If we continue to feed ourselves with that, without revising it, without changing it, without using our imagination to plug into parallel realities, possible outcomes that we want to experience, we will constantly be victimized, and it will be a perpetual feedback loop that will keep perpetuating the same, more of the same, more of the same, more of the same ad infinitum. So the key is to plug in to our imagination and use that, because that is the conduit to quantum possibilities, infinite probabilities we can download, and then we can harmonize with that, become that in the moment, and from there it will magnetize that reality to us. We literally cannot avoid that which we've plugged into, that which we've harmonized to and brought into as our very nature. Once we do that, through techniques like visualizing, meditation, through our imagination, basically, you can script, you can make mind movies, subliminal tapes, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter, as long as you're downloading this from the superconscious field and implanting it into your subconscious. That is the key. That is how to get on the train that you want to get on towards the destination that you prefer. So I hope that makes sense. Again, the 3D reality is where we're embedded in space-time. We can only move consciously through our space, and we're basically on one train that's headed down the line of time at a constant rate, and we cannot see any way to shift this or change it or mold it. 4D becomes where we're able to see different outcomes in the future and different outcomes in the past, and we're able to bring these into our imagination and start to experience them. And 5D is when we actually make the jump, and we're actually able to jump from timeline to timeline. And the truth is, like I said, we're always somewhere between these. We're always bouncing back and forth between these during the day, depending on our awareness, depending on how we're perceiving and how we're feeling. But once we start to live more from a 5D perspective, once we start to bring the quantum possibilities alive within us through our imagination by downloading it and making it real within our vision, that is when we start to live more and more from a 5D space. And the more we do it, the more it's going to become natural. The more we do it, the more 3D space is going to look more foreign to us. Mind you, there are still people that are going to choose the 3D reality. There are still people that are going to choose to be victimized. We can't do anything about that. All we can do really about that is to be grateful that they're there in front of us to show us the contrast. But like two trains on a track, they're going to diverge. And eventually, the 3D world is going to be so far and foreign to us that our 5D way of thinking and our 5D way of operating, of jumping to possible timelines that we prefer and that we don't want to experience, we just completely put out of our reality, that is going to become more real to us. And the 3D world is actually going to split and become more foreign and more separate. And there will be a time in the future when these two worlds are going to be so separate that they won't be overlapping. Right now they are, but the split, like I say, has begun. We are moving towards a new Earth, and it's up to you whether you want to live on a world that's basically victimized by 3D cause and effect, and basically you're caught up in whatever's happening around you. You're a subject to your environment. You're a victim to your circumstances. Or you can download possibilities through your imagination and choose what you want to prefer, and like a magnet, it will be brought to you. And that's the 5D reality. That's the new Earth. It's here now. We are here now. If you're watching this, you're likely tuning in to a 5D reality more and more often. So I congratulate you, because we are all part of this high vibe tribe. We are all moving forward, and we're all creating a world that we want to experience, that we like to experience, that we prefer, that we know we're deserving of. So I commend you for that. Thank you for being a part of this community. It really means a lot to us. Even though we don't know each other in person, we do know each other on a soul level. We are connected and we are moving forward in this new earth. So thank you for that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe for more edifying information like this, and I will see you in the next video. Have an amazing day. Agape, salam, and namaste. Peace out, guys.